Hi, my name is Rick Niemi. I'm the host of God's Economy. We're doing a question and answer today, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. So we got some great questions today from you guys. Want to read a few and answer them. First one says, what systems or tools do you use most to help you steward your business well? I think in today's day and age, being informed with data is important. I have a pharmacy company, and we're tracking prescriptions and trends and doctors and geographical areas and things like that. And in our business, nothing's really set up for us to get everything we need in one report. So we're using different technology that integrates with each other to pull information together. It's a click for presenting information, and talent to put the data together. And we use integration to pull all this information from finance to the operations and deliveries and incoming orders to kind of get our team aware of what's coming in, what's the turnaround times we're having, what challenges are we having, getting the prescriptions, getting the doctor's refills going on. But really, it's just putting together what you need to be informed in your business. So if you're looking to be a better steward of your business, what are the key performance indicators that measure success? And I think one of the most important things is to define what matters. Not everything matters. What are the most important things that tell you that your business is doing well? Measure those things, put together things that are going to provide you the information in real time so that you know how you're doing. One of the things I like to talk about is that if you look at your business like a sports team and you're playing a game and there's 4 quarters, if let's say football, and you're going to have a first quarter, a second quarter, a halftime, and then a third quarter. Are you going to wait until after you play the game to learn if you did well or not? And that's what most companies do. They basically have a month and they take a look at their finances and they say, okay, we had a good month, we had a bad month. But what if you could actually put together what information matters during the month? So you could actually measure for success, and at the end of the first quarter, at halftime, you could have a halftime tour. You say, hey, you know what? We're not really tracking in this one area of our business. What changes do we need to make or adjustments we need to make so that we can win at the end of the day? And that could be obviously the game of profitability. If you have a business, nobody has a business to not be profitable. Doesn't mean you're not doing a good thing for your product or service, but at the end of the day, everyone needs to make a profit, and so anyways, that's my answer for good stewardship is, put together systems of information so you can be well informed, aware of what's going well, aware of what's not going well, and make good informed decisions on data to drive your business forward. Next question. What are common challenges Christian men face today? And how can they overcome these obstacles? This is a challenge. I mean, when we're talking about men today, we could just start with the attack on a man, the attack on the nuclear family. What is a man? Okay, so we can start there. And I think that over the last several years, the attack on a man and what a man is supposed to be and their place in society, their place in the home, their place in the marriage, their place in the family, this has been a serious challenge to overcome. And I think that if you look at men today, everyone's searching for one thing. They're searching for purpose. Why am I alive? What am I meant to do? What is my calling in life? And I think that, when you know who you are and you know whose you are, and that's for a believer, I'm a believer. So my identity is wrapped up in I'm a child of God, number one. Man of God is number one. It's the most important thing. When I'm man of God, everything else falls into place. So we're talking about what men face today, and I'm talking about identity and a lack of purpose is one of the biggest challenges I think that men face today. When men know who they are, okay, they can have a purpose and a place. They have a path for their life. They have a vision, a fresh vision for their life. They know what to do and how to do it. But when they're confused about, hey, maybe success is just financial, maybe it's just social status, we're all chasing the wrong thing, man. We're all chasing the wrong things. So life is meant to be more simple than we make it. For me, we put God first. We put my wife second. My kids come after that. My church, my family, my community, and everyone should be used by God for good. I think that when we're talking about challenges that men face today, I'm looking at, okay, so when what we do is who we are, that is when we have trouble, because that we do well, we don't do well, we have a business, we lose a business, we're a CEO, and then we're unemployed. So are we like a palm tree, like flowing in the wind, like not sure what's going on? Or are we just stable in who we are? We can say, okay, I know I'm a child of God. I know I'm a son of the King, and I'm going to live the right way. I'm going to do the right thing. But I tell people, we all find what we seek for. If we're trying to find and we're trying to seek out our purpose, we'll find our calling. We'll find our giftings. We'll understand what our talents and gifts are. We can actually use those for good. So I would encourage you today, if you're not sure the direction you're headed in life, try the Lord. Try giving your life to God. Try understanding that you're a son of the King and that you're more than a conqueror. We're not victims. We're more than a conquerors. Jesus died on the cross for us. It's already done. He paid it all. So what? So let's do something good with our life. And if you're not sure what to do or the direction you're headed, we can ask the Father and he'll tell us. He might not tell us the right when we ask, but if we're seeking for it, he's going to tell us. So I would encourage you to know and understand who you are and what your purpose is. That's my answer to that. What advice would you give to a man thinking of getting married? And I have to tell you, Brother David, I'm so sorry I missed this question. I think I was on vacation when you asked this, and I would have gotten back to you. But advice I would give to a man thinking about getting married is, first I would ask why. What are you looking for? Are you looking for, a real partner, a real, a companion? Are you ready? This is a commitment. It's not a feeling. Being married is not a feeling. I tell people that when it comes to something like this, it's no different than your work. Anything that you do where you put effort and energy into it, you're going to get some return on that investment. Most guys default to work because they're good at work. When it comes to relationship, most guys are just not good at relationship. They're just not trained about it. I mean, we don't have the skills to give and take. We don't have the skills to, be empathetic with our spouse, to understand, to meet them where they're at. We want to dig in and have a position. At the end of the day, when they get their needs met, we automatically get our needs met. Being married is a selfless thing. It doesn't mean it's a ball and chain. There's definitely life there. There's definitely love there. There's definitely something that is very special about it. And in my opinion, it's one of the last great institutions in our country is a good marriage. It's just not common to see. And you could say, okay, I've been married for 30 years. Well, okay, how good is your marriage? I mean, you could still be married for a long time and not have a good marriage. So it's not really about the length of time you've been married. It's about what is the quality of your relationship with your spouse. And I'll just be honest with you and say there's no perfect marriage. People that look like they have perfect marriages, it's not. Nobody has one. It's hard work. There's challenges. There's issues. There's things that we have to say, I don't necessarily agree with this, but I can live with it. And at the end of the day, it is give and take. So marriage is a serious blessing, but it's also a lot of hard work. The advice I would give you when you're thinking about getting married is, are you ready? Is she the right one? Is she the right one? Because this is something where, I take everything to the Father. We pray for discernment. We pray for wisdom. I can't say at 24, I actually knew what I was doing. I married Hilda because I thought she loved me more than I loved me at the time. And I had to learn how to be, a husband. I'm still learning how to be a husband. What am I talking about? It's 30 years. I'm still learning how to be a husband. You never actually get there, but in different seasons of life, I think you get out what you put into it. So that's what I would tell you on that. How do you instill love for God in your children, even as they grow older? So this is a tough one. I mean, you could plant the seeds. If you talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk, there's going to be some challenges there. I think that's what most kids see. I think that's what most people see. Like, I'm not going to be a Christian. I don't believe in that stuff. Well, why not? Well, because I see Christians and they're all hypocrites. Or, my mom was a Christian or my dad was a Christian and they hit me or they did, they were verbally abusive. I mean, at the end of the day, hurt people, unfortunately. And, doesn't mean that we can't have, a relationship with a father, but at the end of the day, all we can do is model what we should model for our kids, and they have to make a decision for themselves. I'll be honest with you. Like, you can do all the right things and they can still reject it it's their choice. It's their choice. But you're asking, how do you instill a love for God? If you if you do and be love to them and that's what they know, then I think you have a great chance. But that comes out in the actions, that comes out in the behaviors, that comes out in, their interactions with you, you know. This is a tough one for me because I didn't get to see this model for me, especially from a position of a man in the house. I think my mom did the best that she could, and Mom, I love you. You did the best that you could. And at the end of the day, you know, you do get credit for, you know, letting me know who Christ was. I still didn't know more than believing no. So I think the thing that I would challenge you is more than just believing, in God. How do you model that so that someone else can say, yes, I know how to do that too? Or how do I have a walk with God? How do I have a connection with God outside of the fact that he's just some abstract up there? Like, how do I have a real relationship with the Father through Jesus? The best way to do it is to live it at the end of the day. I'd love to talk about it. I'd love to sell it as a salesman. I want to sell it. You can't do it. It's just the way that we live. People are going to see us by the fruit of our life. That's the truth. So if the fruit of your life is love, and if everything you're pointing towards is him, then you have an absolutely great chance, for them to, be on this walk with Christ as they get older. How did faith shape your life as a man? Over a lot of years, over a lot of hardship, over a lot of heartache. For me, not having a father growing up, I would always put my faith into an older man who said I was good at business. Maybe that guy could be dad. Maybe the next guy could be dad. And God let me run my course with this. He let me do it 3 or 4 times between my early 20s, and my mid 30s. And before I realized that, you know, he told me he's my dad and he's jealous. He wants to be number one. He doesn't want me putting my hope and faith into another man the way I should be putting it into him. So, but the faith that I had, has grown over the years, and the walk with God has strengthened my faith. The hardships that I've been through, the valleys, have taught me that even in those valleys and even in those tough times, he was still my king. I still had a hope in the future. It was just a season I was in, and there was a purpose and a reason for the season. There's always a purpose and a reason for the season. But at the end of the day, I had to ask myself, what's my part in this? And my part in this is choice. I get to choose, not more than just to believe, but what am I going to do with my life? Am I going to just be a believer and act out? And this guy's no Christian. Or am I going to try to live in such a way that would honor God? And I think that's something that's changed for me. I mean, a silly thing because I didn't have parents and affirmation was tough growing up. I just wanted to please my mom or dad, and I wanted to be a good boy, whatever that meant. And now as I get older, I want to be a good man for God. What does that look like? Stewarding my life in a way that honors him. That's what it looks like. So how did my faith shape my life as a man? I would not absolutely be even remotely close to what I am without God. And it would be blasphemy if I said I was this good. I'm completely unqualified, but I've still did it. I've still done it. And I'm not sorry, by the way. So this is something I want to tell everyone who's listening. I am not a sorry Christian man. I'm a humbly confident Christian man. The last thing I'm going to do is be sorry for God's goodness in my life. The last thing I'm going to do is be that. So I am thrilled about God's goodness in my life. I am not always happy when he corrects me. You know, I have bad days. Everyone does. But at the end of the day, without God in my life, I would be nowhere. So there's that. How do you feel God's economy will make a difference? God's economy is going to make a difference. And I'm going to tell you why. Because today, no one knows the term. And in time, it will be a household phrase. God's economy is going to mean different things to different people. God's economy was born out of God putting in my heart I needed to share my story. I needed to share my testimony, not for selfish reasons, but to show somebody that you can come from tough circumstances. And everyone has a story, right? Everybody has a story. Everybody has a hardship. But you can be an overcomer in Jesus' name, and you can be completely unqualified and still run the table if he wants you to, if he helps you to, if we put our hope, faith, and trust in him, and he's the source for what we're trying to do. And so when I realized this, you know, in my early 20s, and I really had a hardship in my 30s, that with God, all things are possible, and God's economy can work itself out both for good and bad. On the bad side is we're not pressed in. we're not knowing him. We're not following him. We're not obeying him. Over and over, we're being stubborn. We have hard hearts. And we're going to hit our head and we're going to stumble and fall. On the other end of that is blessing and favor and abundance and peace and joy, the kind that only he can give. We're not talking about happiness that's temporary or circumstantial. We're talking about real peace and real joy, knowing that by living in his economy, by making him the center and the source for everything that you're doing all the time, that he is just going to make it happen for you. I say this all the time in my videos to you guys, that he just makes it happen. So I'm praying. I have a need. I have an unmet need. I'm trying to get something done and I have absolutely no answer. Zero. And then just the next day he puts someone in my path and they have some answers. I'm like, there's no way this is actually happening. There's no way that I really had this need and I finally surrendered it. And this guy comes out of nowhere and he's got a word for me or he's got an answer for me. And that's just not an accident. So I've decided to put my hope, faith, and trust in God and his plan for me than in money by itself or this person or this process or the government or this has to happen. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I feel like, if we're living within God's economy, that we're going to be able to live and have a chance to live our best life now. So how do you feel God's economy will make a difference? It's going to make a difference because in time, people will talk about it. And my hope and my prayer and my vision is that over the years that everyone is going to have a testimony for how God's economy has played out in their life for bad and for good. And hopefully it was bad at first and it was good afterwards, after they realized they were aware of God's power, his goodness, his grace, his mercy, his favor. And by having a personal relationship with the Father through Jesus, that we're going to live our best life and we're going to go for this. Doesn't mean we're not going to have trouble. Doesn't mean we're not going to have hardship, but still within God's economy, he's always going to get us through it. Always, every time. Did you come from a Christian family? Yeah, I was raised by a single mother. My mom is a Christian. I just feel like overall, it wasn't something that we went to church on Sunday, but it wasn't about going to church on Sunday. It was about what I was seeing, in my house, outside my house, when we weren't at church. That was challenging. Love my mom and she did the best she can. She did the best that she could, but, I didn't get to see, a walk the way I needed to modeled for me in the way I learned over the years. And so that would be a do-over I would have. That's something I've tried to do with my family. I haven't done it right, a lot of the times over the years. My wife and I, we got married young at 24 and 25. We didn't have all the answers. We weren't all put together. My wife's Puerto Rican and we both have strong personalities, but at the end of the day, we learned how to, love each other better. We learned how to be a Christian family the best way we could. And we taught our kids that, it's good to be good people and it's good to do good things, but it has nothing to do with our salvation. Salvation is completely separate, and sanctification and the journey of sanctification, learning to be more like Christ and, being more reflective of him and his characteristics and just being loved, to be honest with you. That's a process. It's always a process. It's always a work in progress. But I wouldn't know Jesus if it wasn't for my mom. So she definitely gets credit for that. Love you, Mom. In which of the Lord's currency do you feel most rich? Um, you know, I mean, there's an overarching piece, not that I don't have it. Sometimes I don't have it. But I would say that for whatever reason, I absolutely 100% have the Lord's favor in every single thing I've ever done. It just doesn't matter. I mean, I just don't know why he loves me this much. I feel, I'm not sorry. At first, maybe I don't deserve it. I'm not worth it. So that's why I talk about this stuff with other men or other people. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it. I've had all the thoughts. I can't do it. It's not for me. That's for somebody else. And then something flipped one day and I was realizing, no, the whole world is his. Why can't I have more? I already have a lot. I have everything. I don't need anything. I'm not saying I'm rich or whatever, but I'm rich in family, health, blessing, and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, more stuff is just more stuff. It's another house. It's another car. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Um, I've had the Lord's favor. I've had the Lord's blessing. I can't actually believe I've been married since 1995. I can't believe I have two beautiful kids. I can't believe I have a wonderful wife like Hilda. I feel like sometimes I live in someone else's life. Not a day goes by that, I'm not grateful for God's goodness in my life. And it's just, I have a serious burden to do what I'm doing with you right now because of it, because I feel like there's no way he can do this for me and I can't do something for him. There's just no way. There's just no way. So this is a privilege to be able to talk to you about what God's done in my life. It's an honor to give God glory. And, I just feel like not only with God, all things are possible, but in him, I can do immeasurably more in him, through him, by him than I can ever do by myself. And really, that's the story of my life. Is I've been able to do and accomplish infinitely more with him than I ever thought I could do. So what's the most difficult part about obeying God? Oh, the aftermath, the hardship, knowing you messed up, wanting a do-over, wishing you hadn't done it, wishing you would have listened. It's not the regret. It's just why put ourselves through that? Why do it? I mean, if he puts, so this is the thing, like I would say this whole thing has to do with awareness. I'm aware or I'm not aware. If we're unaware, then that's completely different. But when we are aware and then we don't do it, this is just a, come on, man. I mean, and honestly, there's still areas in my life where sometimes I do it and I'm like, I don't know why I do this. And I go to Paul and I think about what Paul says in the word where he says, everything I want to do, I don't do it. And what I know I should do, I don't do it. It's like I'm a wretched man, and everybody struggles with it. So it's me, it's you. But at the end of the day, and I say this a lot, our favor, our protection, our blessing, our provision, all of it comes from obeying God's word. And I think the thing that I'm trying to do better at this stage of my life is doing it faster, sooner, without the delay. For me, I come around, to be honest with you. I do come around, but I could be slow. I could be slow because comfortable is a very bad place to be. It's a very, very bad place to be, but it's no excuse, but there are reasons, but there shouldn't be an excuse for not obeying God, because if he puts something on our heart, I mean, I don't want to do it. I want to do something else. I'm afraid to do it. There's all kinds of reasons why we lose the no decision or we don't actually do what God tells us to do when he tells us. Sometimes it's hard to let go. We just don't want to let go of something that we have, and he wants us to surrender it and get rid of it and just be done with it. And he has a different thing for us. He has a different plan for us than what we think and a lot of times I think that we think we know what we want and that we know that what's best for us. And at the end of the day, we have no idea. We have no idea. Just forget the whole thing, man. And just be on his plan and just don't have it all figured out. That's the best way to do it. Can you give an example of stewardship we can all relate to? I will say one thing, like stewards, let's talk about tithing. It's a sensitive subject with people. I remember I didn't have a time where I didn't have that much money. And I asked my pastor, I don't have that much money, but should I give the 10%? He said, no question. And in my mind, I didn't have it to give. But I remember doing it. And within 2 weeks, I had like two things happening that were financial that I had no idea was going to happen. So this is the only area in the Bible where it says we could test the Lord with our money. And the attitude of stewardship is more like, I'm not entitled. I don't own it. It's not mine. I deserve it, whatever. All those entitlement statements. Stewardship is more one of surrender, where we're renting it. We're renting our health. We're renting our sanity. We're renting the opportunity to have a good day today. We're renting our possessions. If there's really no guarantee we'll be alive tomorrow, so what guarantees do we have? Why wouldn't we have a stewardship attitude with everything? But so it just changed my attitude as far as like, well, how am I stewarding my marriage? How am I stewarding the opportunity to be a dad? Am I a good dad? How do I know I'm a good dad? Am I a steward of my business? Am I a good owner? Am I an owner that is good to his employees? Am I good to my friends? Am I a good friend to people? I think you have to be a friend to have a friend. And I talk about that a lot. So somebody asked this question, can you give an example of stewardship we can all relate to? I've given you all these examples. The question I would ask you is, what area in your life could you be a better steward? Could you be a better steward with your finances? Could you be a better steward with tithing? Biblically, what the word says, give that 10% and he'll overflow your barns with wine and grain, and you'll have more than you can contain. What about your relationships? Are you a good steward with that? Or what about, your work situation? And maybe you have a job and you don't really like your job. And the word tells us to work for the person that we're working for as if we're working for the Lord himself. So even though we might not be where we're at, we might not be where we want to be at this moment, we should know that being a good steward in the moment, being a good steward in the job that we have, doing good with what we have will allow God to bless our efforts. So he says that when we are good with a little, we can be trusted with little, then we can be trusted with more. So that's something that is on my heart. That's something I'm praying about. And again, I tell the Lord, the whole world is yours. Why can't I have more? But it's not having more for the sake of myself or selfishness. It's great to steward and give out. It's great to be helpful to others. It's great to pour into others. It's grateful to bless others up and those kinds of things. And I always think if you're not you either should be getting blessed or being blessed by someone. So giving away blessings or getting blessed, either way. And so if you're in a position to give, do it, because you're going to get back tenfold. Again, I'm your host, Rick Niemi. Thanks for spending some time with me today on the questions. If you have any other questions that you'd love for me to answer, drop them in the comments and we'll get those to them next time.